Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. BlackRock XRP ETF. Factors that could drive decision for a potential ETF launch. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay, so very interesting article, and I'm not really here to get into that, to be honest with you. I just wanted to discuss why I really think that this is likely. Forget all the factors in play. I'm just going to tell you what my thoughts are in regards to this. So you'll probably remember there was a little while back when there was some kind of conversation going around that, BlackRock are going to get an XRP ETF next. They was just waiting on, I think, the official dismissal of the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. And then they said, an ETF would come straight after that. And then BlackRock dropped some news saying, hey, we're not currently looking at an XRP ETF at this time. And a lot of people were really disheartened by that. And I covered it and I said, look, I'm not really that affected by that. I'm not really disappointed by it at all. Like, don't get me wrong, would I have liked it to have just been a thing where they said, yeah, we are going to launch an ETF straight after the resolution of the lawsuit? Of course I would have, ideally. But the point that I'm making here is the reason why I weren't affected by that is because I just knew what they were saying there was not their long-term perspective. To me, that was clearly obvious. And the reason why I say that is because we've seen BlackRock get into crypto now. We've seen them get into Bitcoin. We've seen them get into Ethereum. And so if you don't think they're not going to go into the bigger and broader crypto space when there's money to be made here, I don't know what to say to you. It's just obvious. And at the end of the day, XRP is a top 3 cryptocurrency. Why would it not get an ETF? You've got the top 2. Why would you not go for the top 3? Why would you not go for maybe like the top 10? And then you could even start diversifying and doing, ETFs of like baskets of cryptos, right? You could do, for example, meme coin plays. You could do, smaller cap cryptos, bunches of those and that kind of thing. Like, there's money to be made in this, and BlackRock are not going to sit on the sidelines because we're not talking about small money here. We've seen what crypto can do for people, right? We've seen that crypto has made people billionaires, millionaires, etc. So at the end of the day, this is not money that they're going to just sit and idly pass by. But what you've got to understand is that BlackRock is the biggest asset manager in the world, right? And this is what some people don't understand, like, because a lot of people are saying, well, they're missing out. Okay, you could say that they're missing out to a degree, but because they are the biggest asset manager in the world, they can take their time, right? Like, this isn't a thing where, for them, if they get in late, they've missed out. No, like, BlackRock are a company that once they come in, they can come in late and still just dominate all the other companies. Like, that's how big BlackRock is. You just can't mess with them. They're on a whole other level. And so, for me, we've seen recently that there's been an announcement come out that there's a partnership between Ripple and BlackRock, right? So to me, again, this just solidifies. Do you think that they would be working with Ripple and thinking about doing all this business with them, and then they're just not going to do an XRP ETF at some point? Come on, man. Like, it's completely obvious. So look, I'm not saying that this is going to happen like tomorrow. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm pretty much convinced, and I said this at the time when they said we're not looking at an ETF at this time. I said it may not happen now, but it's going to happen. Like, in my eyes, it is. I would be shocked if they were to basically say that, yeah, we're just not going to do an XRP ETF unless there was a valid reason. Now, I have heard one of the reasons as to why there's been a bit of a uncertainty as to whether to push the button on doing an XRP ETF is because of the legal uncertainty, which is fair enough, right? Like, at the end of the day, we've seen what happened with the SEC and Ripple. So I can understand them maybe having that bit of, do we touch it? Do we not? Is it going to get us in trouble? Maybe we'll just wait. BlackRock is a big company, as I say. So the kind of fines that they could get, if they do wrong, it could be massive. And so I think they're trying to make sure that there's no way that they can be legally scrutinized. Because I said this to you before. We may have a pro-crypto party in right now, but what if there was a time where the party changes and they go back to anti-crypto again, and then they start trying to retro work like these companies and start putting lawsuits on them saying, well, back then you was doing this thing and we think that was wrong, so we're going to sue you. There's possibilities for this. Like, this is what we saw what happened with the previous SEC chair, Gary Gensler. Like, he was terrible. So if you've got someone with that kind of warped mentality, yes, they could end up doing, corrupt things and just trying to harm companies. So I think what they're trying to do with BlackRock here, I think they're just trying to make sure this is bulletproof. I think they want to make sure that everything that's in place, that needs to be in place, will be in place. There's no chance for this to backfire on them, and I think they just want to make sure everything goes smoothly. Because in terms of like demand and stuff, I think that's already clear. There's been products that have been released with XRP and it's been like the most successful product launch of 2025. And we're not talking the most successful crypto project launch. They've just said it's the most successful launch. That's saying a huge thing about XRP. That tells you all you need to know in regards to demand. So the demand is 100% there, absolutely. So this for me, in terms of, factors that could drive, decision for an ETF, in my opinion, it's coming. And I don't talk like that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not someone who tries to talk like it's a guarantee, and I will say this now, it's not a guarantee. Like, there is obviously a chance that it doesn't happen. But if you ask me, if they were to, let's just say they were to decide not to do an XRP ETF, I'm just going to say it outright, it would be a very stupid decision for them to make. It would be a very terrible business decision. Because they're just missing out unnecessarily. Now, don't get me wrong, if they're worried about, the legal ramifications, I get that. But what I'm saying is, once the rules of the road are clear, which, they've put out that framework now, right? So they can put ETFs through. They've done like a fast track for certain cryptos, and XRP is one of them. But yeah, like, once that's there and everything that you need to know is there for it to be safe, if they still don't create an XRP ETF and they just don't bother doing one, and they go ahead and do other ETFs but not XRP, I would think that was a very bad and stupid mistake. I'm just going to say that blatant. Because it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, you've got the top 3 cryptocurrency, you've done the top 2, but you're going to miss the top 3 and go into others. That just makes no sense whatsoever. And you're literally just putting yourself in a position where you're missing out on business opportunity for no reason. Right? Like, it just makes no sense whatsoever. So, if you ask me, this ETF, the XRP ETF, I don't know when it's coming, but if you ask me, in my opinion, I'm convinced as I can be that it will happen. I'm not going to make no guarantees because I'm not in a position to do that. Obviously, I can't tell the future, but I'm as positive and certain as I can be that it will happen. Like, I'm like 99.9% certain, right? Because it just makes sense to. Unless they just stop doing ETFs altogether at this point and say, we're just going to stick with Ethereum and Bitcoin, which again would be stupid. I don't think they would do that, but if that was the reason, then okay, fair enough, they've left it at that and that's it. But, I don't think that's what they're going to do. Like, I don't think XRP is going to be the last ETF they do, I think they'll do Solana, I think they'll do Hedera, HBAR, Cardano. Like, I think there'll be a good amount of cryptos that will have ETFs, to be honest with you. Like, it just makes sense. Like, this is something that can help them earn money. It's going to bring them custom, even new customs as well. So, like, I can't see why they would turn that away. So look, in my opinion, this is coming. It is just a matter of time. If you ask me, we will see how that goes. But, I would be absolutely shocked if this wasn't to end up happening at some point. The only thing I will say is I don't know when. Could it be this year? I think it's very possible because you've got the fast track thing coming out now. October's going to be a big month for ETFs. So I think it could be this year, but maybe it's next year, who knows? Maybe it's the year after, but in my opinion, I'll probably say at a push, I'd say next year. I wouldn't be surprised if it did come out this year, but if they're worried about legal aspects of it, then I could understand if it was maybe like next year. But you got to understand that BlackRock can take their time with this thing. Like, this isn't a thing where for BlackRock, if they get in last, it's a concern for them. They're so big that it doesn't matter. Like, this is the kind of company that even if they get in last, they've got such a big client base that they'll still thrive from it anyway. And there's people who might go directly to BlackRock because they are the biggest. So they are going to be just fine, whether they're late or not. They really can afford to take their time. It's not a big deal for them. There's other companies that are smaller, which for them it might be like, this is crucial getting in first because we get that chance to get some first mover activity and get some custom that way. BlackRock don't need to do that. They don't need to play that game. They can just come in when they're ready. So in my opinion, it's coming. We just got to wait for that time. But I just thought I'd discuss this with you because, when that news came out before where they said, we're not looking at an ETF at this point, you got to understand when they say that, like, that could be literally like that day, that week. That can change, right? Like, the next month they could be like, yeah, we're going to look at XRP now. We're going to see if we can do an ETF. Like, they're saying that in that moment. That's temporary. long term, I had no doubt that they was going to look into this stuff, and I think they will. So that's just my perspective, and I thought I'd share that with you. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.